guest today is a London-based African philanthropist and social entrepreneur. She is the co-founder and co-chairperson of the Higherlife Foundation, who have to date helped over 250,000 young people through education. Please welcome our guest, Tsitsi Masiyiwa. Welcome.
Thank you.
Hey.
Welcome. Yes, we've been so excited to have you on the show. We've been buzzing all week, so thank you so much. If we just start off, so you've helped thousands of children and people all over the world. I mean, where does that desire to help others come from? Why is it such an integral part of your life?
It started quite by accident. I didn't grow up saying to myself, my big dream is to help thousands of people. My big dream was to get a nice job, get a nice husband, have children, and live happily ever after. But in the process, I got married, and my husband started a business, and he wanted to start his business in telecommunications. In those days, mobile telephones were the in thing. People didn't really know much about them, and governments were very nervous on the impact of allowing a private citizen to receive communication. So he applied for a license, and they said no, and then he took them to court. And I thought, well, how on earth do you take the government to court?
Yes.
And so how long is this process going to take? He said, honey, don't worry, 3 to 4 months and it will be done. It took 5 years. So in the process, we lost everything. We had no money to sue the government and sustain legal fees for 5 years. Yeah. And also, you don't do things like that, generally speaking. So it was in the process of asking myself, why did we get ourselves into this? Yeah. And is it all about a business and making money? So by, I guess, halfway through, it dawned on me that there was a higher purpose to what we're going through. Yeah. That one day things would come right, we would get the license, would have a business, but that you can only sleep in one bed and drive one car. Yeah. So what do you do when you make money? Yeah. And I said aside, I made a deal with God. I'm a practicing Christian. I enjoy my relationship with God. So things were really tight, and I said, God, if you give us this license and this business becomes a reality, I'm going to look after all the orphans.
Is that what led you on to set up the Higherlife Foundation? So when did you set up the Higherlife Foundation?
Well, I set up Higherlife Foundation before we had the money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so for me it was, well, this is a commitment I'm making, and what is the sign that I need that one day when things do come right, that there's a reminder for me that I have a pact with God.
Suing the government is a really scary thing. How did you stay strong for your husband, for yourself, and for your family? It must have been such a scary time. I can't even imagine. I know you said obviously you made a pact with God, but how did you find the strength to just not say, okay, we give up? I know you made the pact, but how did you just find to keep going every day?
Listen, it was not easy. First of all, I wanted to kill the guy.
Yes.
Okay?
Oh, no.
So you tell me you're going to sue the government. Yeah. I ask you what are the consequences, and you tell me 4 months.
Yeah.
And then I had one child expecting baby number 2.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And I had a very good job. He had a small business which was thriving.
Yeah.
And so for me, the importance of having God in my life was in helping me to understand for myself what we got ourselves into.
Yeah, okay.
Number 1. Number 2, to love the guy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how do you love a guy who suddenly comes home, he has no salary?
You and your husband have been together over 2 decades?
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Honey, listen, nowadays people get married, 5 minutes later, divorce.
Yeah.
Which is terrible.
Which is awful.
Yeah.
But how, obviously you said how, but what is the secret to making it a long-lasting marriage? What's made you two stay together that long? I mean, it's got to be something after all you've gone through.
No, marriage is work. It's work.
Yeah.
It's not, all
not just
romance. No. And it's not romance from day one.
Well, behind every man is a strong woman, and you're definitely that as well. And I wanted to know if you've ever felt like putting yourself out there, speaking up for the disadvantaged, especially in a traditional background coming from Zimbabwe, where women aren't always at the forefront. Did you face any kind of backlash for doing something as an independent woman?
Backlash is an understatement.
Oh,
let me tell
wow.
you.
Oh, okay.
My generation believed it's the man who speaks, and you agree with what your man says,
Wow.
and keep your opinion to yourself. I got a lot of backlash from, I'm too aggressive, you're not feminine enough,
Wow.
you know, and then you get married and people say, when your husband is talking, why do you also talk?
Wow.
And also, you know, we own the business together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Why
he's
shouldn't
gonna
you
have
speak?
meetings.
Yeah.
I want to sit in there, not going to a board meeting and say, you know, I want to hear what is going on. But if he's having a discussion, for me and him, it was normal for me to sit in and, you know, make a contribution. After all, I went to school and I studied
course,
business.
yeah.
But it was very difficult. And, you know, now I'm in my 50s, so it's acceptable.
You're a really busy woman, so you don't just, you know, run the Higherlife Foundation. You do sit on other boards as well, and you do support other charities. I mean, how do you balance all of those roles and a family and a husband? Like, how do you do it all?
Okay, it's not easy. So there's some things I just don't do.
Okay.
I don't do dinners.
Okay.
After
kind of
having
woman.
had 6 children, you kind of like lose your sense of sleep.
yeah.
So dinner can be very taxing on one's mind and body. The level of concentration just deteriorates so badly. So no, and then a lot of social functions. Like if I'm invited to a function in the evening where I need to go, I cut out the cocktail because I just think nothing really meaningful gets discussed.
Oh, I see.
True.
You had,
Yeah.
That's a good point.
That's where I've gone wrong with this. That's where I've gone
So
wrong.
I'll just go straight into the function, and when I'm done, I
see.
leave.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
I don't
No
hang
lingering.
around. Yeah, and then also I use a lot of different ways to. My efficiency is increased by I use a lot of Skype, WebEx meetings.
Oh, I see.
You know, I don't physically go to a lot of places.
Oh, I see.
So I work from my kitchen. That's my office. So I do some of my board meetings are done conference calls. I don't have to travel. So I really have an opportunity to try to balance. Okay, if you ask my kids, they'll tell you my life is really not balanced. But I think I do pretty well for 6 children and boards and running the foundation. But I don't complain about time because I like it that way.
Thinking about all of the kids that you've helped give scholarships or that have gone on to get higher education, what have been some of the like your favourite success stories from over the years?
What I love the most is to see kids that weren't necessarily academically strong having an opportunity to find a skill that they're really good at, and then investing time and further studies to study and become successful. So I love pictures, not selfies. Okay?
Okay. We won't be taking one with you later.
I don't know how to take a selfie properly.
Neither do Vanessa,
do
don't
I.
worry.
But I think one of the best ways to communicate is through pictures.
Yeah.
I love pictures. So
Definitely.
in Higherlife, I've really encouraged some of our young people to get training in photography and
that's
videography.
cool, yeah.
So our best is this guy called Tatenda. He takes the best pictures in the world. So
He's a photographer as well, Tatenda.
Oh, okay.
See?
So he takes the best pictures, and whenever we have any activity going on, I always please make sure Tatenda is there. And I remind Tatenda, pass on your skill to other people.
Yeah.
So there are
that's
people like
important.
we have many people like Tatenda who have had opportunity to get training and are not only earning a living but also being a role model to others. And then we have kids who are academically talented who've gone on to to Harvard, to Yale, to Stanford. There isn't any big university, Oxford, Cambridge, where we don't have our students. So that I also find, it's always a wow factor for me.
Yeah.
That a child you don't know, who had no hope, who had never been on a plane, some had never used a flashing toilet,
Wow.
others had never used a normal shower, to actually come from an environment that is so tough and so difficult and transition through life to getting a university degree and becoming a Rhodes Scholar. I think that's
Wow, yeah.
kudos to life.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go
I'm
on.
sorry.
No, go
My
on,
last
girl.
question. I just think, okay, you've done all of that, which is amazing. What is next for your foundation? What have you got planned?
So technology gives us the greatest opportunity to be able to break all sorts of barriers, fear, lack of exposure, lack of ability to spot and take advantage of opportunities, all the limitations that I've seen and witnessed with our rural children, with even some from the townships. So the next big thing for me is to really build a very big platform that allows a Vanessa to be able to speak to a child in rural Malawi, in rural Burundi, Lesotho, and inspire them, share your experiences, and handhold them to a point where they can also build the confidence that you have.
You have been a dream.
Yes,
You have. I've just got so much inspiration. I forgot where I was. Thank you
I've got
so
to
much.
ask a question.
I
now,
know. I was like, where are we? But thank you so much for being on the show. We've loved having you.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you very much.